That's a big fish.
Are you kidding? Oh my God!
Big mama came out. This is the biggest fish I've ever killed bowfishing. Sun's out. Buff's out, baby. Good job. What a nice. Finger in the rock. Look, there's a big one. Nice shot, Taylor. Get him, Smitty. Doubled up, baby. Hey! Good shot, man. There we go. We got two of them now. He's a good gator. He's a monster. That's a good gator. Wow. Love bowfish. Come here. Time for a free boat ride in the AMS boat. Hey everybody. Welcome. The Bowfishing Buzz podcast presented by AMS Bowfishing and
Megamouth Bowfishing as well.
Episode 42.
42.
Welcome. It's a beautiful day here in central Wisconsin.
Mm-hmm.
It's our first podcast of the month of August.
Yeah, I can't believe it's August already.
Isn't that crazy?
You were already set and ready to go, but I kind of feel guilty. I got food plots I got to get planted.
I'm all jacked up today because I had like 3 big cups of coffee already this morning, some Black Rifle
You
coffee.
have been drinking that a lot. That's
man.
been all day. That's been coffee in there?
I got water in here now, but this morning it was all, I had 3 days of Black Rifle coffee. Ooh,
Oh my
yummy,
gosh.
yummy in my tummy.
That is good. That is very
I'm all jacked
good.
up on Black Rifle coffee, not Mountain Dew, like in Talladega Nights.
I'm all jacked up on Mountain
I'm
Dew.
jacked up on Mountain Dew.
Black Rifle's better. That's better than Mountain Dew.
You bet. So welcome. And like I said, episode 42. Don't forget, you can also check out the video podcast on the AMS YouTube channel, or you can find them also on Carbon TV. And speaking of Carbon TV, Schmitty,
Yep.
I got an email last week from Carbon TV, and I could not believe it when I saw it.
I was when you told me, I was very surprised as well.
Absolutely. And the only reason that we got this email is because of all of you, the fans out there who go to Carbon TV and watch our bowfishing episodes. Thank you so much for that, because we got an email last week, Derek, that our show was the top 4 for most viewed of the month of July. There's a lot of shows on Carbon TV, Schmitty.
Like, I would say hundreds.
Hundreds.
Yeah, hundreds of shows.
And I guess they liked watching the old rednecks doing a little bowfishing, baby.
Watching the old rednecks stick and fish. And I think what's really cool about that is we started that in April. Mm-hmm. I think, right? Was it April? It wasn't late March. It was April, I think.
I think it was April when we started our first episode, yeah.
So we're only, a couple months old here. That was our first debut on Carbon, and just spectacular that we were able to, that you guys were so supportive of watching us. Even these podcasts, Matt, you were telling me last week that you'll put these podcasts up on Carbon TV, and the amount of views that even the video podcasts we're getting on Carbon TV was awesome.
The video
through the
podcasts are awesome. We're getting over 10,500 views on our video podcast out, because it is almost like an episode, because some of the footage on here is awesome stuff, from the stories that we tell, to the trips that we're on, to some of our guests. Like last week, our last podcast with Billy Lawson. Mm-hmm. I mean, some of that footage of them guys diving down and spearing, some of that barracuda and some of them grouper and the shark swimming around.
Right.
And then coming back up and bowfishing the mahi and the underwater footage of that. It's just some cool stuff.
See, and I think, Matt, correct me if you think differently, but just as far as what we upload on Carbon TV, I would say that our episodes are, top notch in my eyes. They are the highlights of a trip or multiple trips. We had the one where you had Mara was down there. Macy and Mara were down there when they were real young, and then we had Mara back more recently down there, and that was a really cool one. But those are like the highlights, the awesome footage, the learning points. And then to me, it seems like these podcasts are just a little bit more of a deeper dive. In-depth, detailed. You just kind of get a little bit more of the nitty-gritty of everything that you couldn't put into an episode unless it would be an hour long like our podcasts are. Right. You know what I mean? So I think that's really cool that people are intrigued enough to be able to go in and be like, you know what, this is such interesting information. I like watching this. I like consuming this. I'm going to watch an hour long podcast to see really what these guys are all doing.
Yep.
So that's really cool.
The thing that tells me that they do like them, Derek, is they'll come back and watch the next podcast, and we'll have 10,500 views on that also.
Right. Yeah.
So they're liking the video podcast, and like I said, that's the big thanks out to all of our fans out there for going there and watching those shows. We really appreciate that. And we just had a little meeting today with Red Shutter Media about what we can do to improve and what we need to do moving forward. We've already got trips planned for already this year, a couple of trips planned, and looking forward to next year. And to making some more awesome video content out there on Carbon TV as well.
Yeah. Yep, absolutely. I was thinking, too, when we were listening, Matt, when we just started the podcast, that little intro, there's that gator clip in there. Mm-hmm. That hits a little bit closer to home now every week that we advance closer to September.
Cannot wait.
Yeah, going down there with Billy.
Right. We finally got our dates all set, Derek.
Good deal.
We've got 4 gator tags.
Oh, that was like so gangster now. You just put your fingers up to the camera. 4 of them things.
I'm a gangsta.
4 tags in, I think 4 tags in as many days that you're down there, correct?
Ooh,
good thing you don't sleep. Good thing you don't need to sleep to be productive.
The cool part about this here trip is once again going down and visiting Billy, who has been an awesome guest when we go down there for our gator hunts. And then we're going to be having Jana Waller from Skullbone Chronicles join us on that hunt as well. And then we're also going to have Wendy and Alyssa join us.
That is so cool to me, Matt. You and Jana, that's awesome. But being able to have Wendy and Alyssa down there, oh my gosh, that is so cool that they're going to experience that.
Right. Oh. And for those of you who do not know Alyssa and Wendy, you've probably talked to them if you called AMS Bowfishing. They take all the sales orders. They do a lot of the all of the shipping and packaging of the products on sales orders.
Yep. Customer service
in there as well. And that's one of the big main reasons that we're sending Alyssa and Wendy down there, because they do take a lot of questions on phone calls from customers that have product.
Right.
And what a better way to have them more knowledgeable, better to be able to explain the products and how they're used than to get them down there and go on a gator hunt and see how that is taken care of. The equipment. We're going to be trying to get them on some gators with the big game crossbow kits. And then they're going to be right alongside of us in the airboats as Jan and I try to take ours with the AMS Hooligan bows and the big game kits, the big game reels. So really looking forward to that. September 19th through the 22nd.
That's actually, you're going to have to cancel that because you're going to be gone for my birthday.
Well, I didn't get an invite, so I didn't know that.
You got to call Billy and say, hey, sorry, we're going to have to do that a little bit earlier than what we were thinking.
Are you going to be, 20 years old?
Oh, yeah, very funny. 25.
Oh, 25.
Yep.
So, yeah, looking forward to that. It's going to be a good show.
Yeah, that'll be very cool. And Wendy and Alyssa, just from taking years of phone calls, talking to people about bow fishing, knowing the product, shipping it out, they know so much about it already.
Right.
And just to expose them to the up-close and personal experience that I've never experienced, but I can only assume to be the most adrenaline-packed, crazy, awesome, blood-pumping situation that would be hunting a gator with a bow and arrow. I can't wait to A, see some footage of them, and B, just to hear their stories that they bring back.
I can't wait to see the look on their face to take that all and experience all that, because it's awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, it's something that you don't do every day.
Yeah.
Go shoot a gator.
Right. Yeah.
Down in the Florida swamps. It's awesome.
That's cool. That's very cool.
It's awesome. So I guess to get things rolling here, Schmitty.
Yeah.
The BAA Worlds was held down in Louisiana.
Yes, it was.
A couple weekends ago. And not surprised at who won.
I was just gonna say that.
The Big 20. This is their 4th World's Championship. This is their 4th. Team TKO and Tommy Woods and his crew. They're top notch. There ain't nothing. What else can you say? They're the They're the top ones at every tournament that you go to. I know when I used to shoot in tournaments and when you would be competing against Tommy and his team there, you would always you wanted to be close to them, or you wanted to see how you compared to them after weigh-ins the next day.
Yeah.
Because that's how you kind of compared yourself, was to the top of the top.
Right.
The best of the best, you know? So in first place in the Worlds, Team TKO, Captain Tommy Woods, weighing in 709.1 pounds. You know, that's an average of 35.4 pounds of fish right there. So good job to you guys.
Yeah. Do you know, Matt, what did they mostly weigh in? Do you know, species-wise?
You were only allowed, I believe, to weigh in the Big 20. You were only allowed to weigh in 2 gator gar.
Oh,
so they had silvers and stuff like that also. Some grass carp, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yep.
Cool. Cool. All right. So second place, Team Blowin' Money Bowfishing.
That's a perfect name.
It is Blowin' Money Bowfishing. Captain Andrew Cheatham with a weight 656.4 pounds. I mean, second place at that. That is fantastic. So good job, Team Blowin' Money Bowfishing.
Absolutely. Coming in third was Southern Style of Bounty Hunters, Captain Alan Yater, 636.15 pounds.
And fourth place, team name, real original on this one. No, nothing flashy about this team name.
Nope.
Matt and Colin was the team name.
Straight
Matt is the captain. Matt Rigsby is the captain. Fourth place, 620.75 pounds.
Nice job. And coming in fifth place, Marsh Reapers Bowfishing, Dwayne Hodge, weighing 598.3 pounds.
And sixth place, Team Dusty Addicts, Captain Dustin Watkins, weight of 583.55 pounds. Nice shooting.
And coming in seventh, Shafton Fatties. Nice. James Hopkins, weighing in 554.95 pounds.
And then we have, what do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8th. Eighth place, Mountain Men. James Yerolem of Team Mountain Men, 535.3 pounds.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. So that was a nice payout there for Tommy and his crew. And once again, they're the top of the top right there.
I just want to say this too, Matt. The first time I met Tommy was when I went down with you. You shot in the Bass Pro tournament, and I was running a booth down there that we had set up. I forget if it was in Springfield. I'm not sure where it was. And I remember Tommy came by the booth. And, you know, very, very successful bull fisherman Tommy is.
Yep.
Okay. And I just remember talking to him. I don't know if we were talking about bull fishing or the product. And I'll be honest with you, at 6 years ago when I was down there, I had no idea who he was. I didn't know who Tommy Woods was. And I remember you came over to me and you said, "You know who that was?" I said, "No." He said, "That's Tommy Woods." So that's cool to me that he didn't come across as someone who knows what, you know, that he's a know-it-all, that he's the best at what he does, whatever, even though he totally has the portfolio to do so if he would want to. He just seemed like a totally average, nice guy. So I just wanted to mention that about Tommy. He's a great guy too.
Super guy. Yep. And then we're moving over to the numbers division for the Worlds.
Oh my gosh.
They, the team that won numbers, actually set a new BAA record for the numbers of fish that were shot. Coming in first place in numbers, Team Finessin, Captain Jonathan Smith. They shot 1,706 fish. That's some work right there.
How in the world?
In fact, all these teams that place in the top 8
it's ridiculous.
Just crazy. Wow. 1,706 fish in one night.
I would think that your hands and arms from retrieving and constantly moving and releasing fish and knocking arrows and shooting, I would think that by the end of the night, you'd just be like, that's just crazy to me.
That's unbelievable.
That's crazy. Second place, Team Triple Threat, Captain Dylan Camus, 1,467 fish. That's still crazy. Wow.
Yep. And coming in third, Team CSRA, Captain Blake Fulbright, 1,376 fish.
Fourth place, Team Natural Disasters, Captain Craig Wardlaw, 1,335 fish.
In fifth place, Team Wrong Hole, Ryan Terror, 1,310 fish.
Man. 6th place, Team Midnight Run, Captain Raymond McDonald, 1,298 fish.
And coming in 7th, Team Good Company, Captain Laramie Barber, 1,249 fish.
Yep. And 8th place, Team Nobody Knows, Captain Will Larson, 953 fish.
Yep. So congratulations to the teams in the numbers and also in the Big 20.
Yeah.
And, of course, all the teams that competed this year in the Worlds. There was a total of 73 boats that competed this year. And from what I heard, Derek, Alan Yater and his crew did an outstanding job of running this tournament. Good. They raised a lot of good money for payouts. Everything was good down there. But, yeah, from what I heard is it was an awesome tournament, run very well, and that's always great to hear.
Yeah, that's all you can ask for. Mm-hmm. That's perfect. Mm-hmm. Just before we move on from that, Matt, I don't know if you'll be able to remember these numbers off the top of your head. What is your biggest Big 20 haul in your bow fishing tournament career?
In a tournament?
In a tournament, yeah.
It was the year that we won Worlds back in 2016.
2016, okay.
Yep, in Kentucky. Our Big 20 weight was 804 pounds.
Oh, my gosh. Okay. Yeah. Do you remember what the most amount of fish you've ever shot in a night is? I know you're not into, you guys we're not shooting numbers tournaments a ton. Do you remember a night where you shot?
Actually, a couple years back.
Yeah, big smirk on his face right now.
I think it was like the 3rd year that we shot in the Wisconsin Open.
Okay.
And, we had a couple of guys razzing us that we always shoot Big 20 and we never shoot numbers.
Uh-oh, smack talk involved.
Yeah. So I was like, all right. I didn't say nothing. We're like, yeah. So right before takeoff, Timmy Boy ran up and paid our entry fee
for numbers?
For numbers.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. Yep. Because it was a Big 20 tournament, but then he also had a numbers side pot.
Okay, yep.
So he went up and so nobody knew about that we were shooting numbers. Now, granted, numbers here in Wisconsin can be quite a bit different than what we just read off for numbers.
Right.
We're pretty much shooting carp up here for that. So we came back to Wayne's the next morning, and we actually met the team coming back to Wayne's on the interstate as we were coming back, and we had put a lot of our fish in barrels under the tonneau cover in the bed of the truck, and then we also had the floor of the boat full of carp. And I remember passing them, and they were like trying to look down in our boat to see what we had, and stuff. But anyways, we get back and we started doing our numbers thing, throwing our fish in and stuff and whatever. And we lost by 2 fish.
Oh man,
yeah, 2 fish.
Well, that's impressive for a team that doesn't usually shoot numbers.
Yeah,
that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Wait, so did the team that was razzing you, did they beat you?
They beat us by 1.
They were the team that beat you.
We lost first place by 3 fish.
Oh, okay, I gotcha. Wow.
2 would have tied.
Okay.
And the team that was razzing us, we lost to them by 1.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Wow.
It was fun. It's a lot different than Big 20 shooting.
Yeah,
it's a lot different.
Okay, here's a question, Matt. I've never been to a numbers tournament, or I don't think I've ever witnessed a numbers tournament weigh-in. Mm-hmm. When you are weighing in, 1,700 fish, okay, like the first place team, do the people at weigh-ins, do they just have do they have a clicker that
that's what they do here in Wisconsin. They'll have a clicker and the boat pulls up and they just start throwing fish, and there's 2 guys standing there with clickers.
Oh, to have a comparison as far as, okay.
And you'll try to get, you don't want to have all 4 guys whipping fish. Right. Because you're like, so you might have 2 guys throwing fish and stuff like that.
Oh, my gosh.
And you just got clickers and you're just clicking away.
Oh, my God.
Those guys at the Worlds, they probably had sore thumbs if they were using clickers.
I was going to say, that clicker overheated. It was smoking by the time they were done.
They probably have Popeye thumbs now.
Yeah.
That muscle right between there on your hand, it's like
Lord.
a Popeye.
Wonder how long it takes to throw 1,700 fish into barrels. I mean, they're smaller fish, but still, good Lord, that's crazy.
That's some work.
Yeah,
that is some work.
Yeah. Well, all right, Matt. So we got a little bit of we were debating what we wanted to do today's podcast on, and you kind of came up with a good idea. Why don't you share with everyone what we're going to try to cover today?
Well, we're going to try to carry this over the next couple of weeks in between other stuff that's going to be going on as well. But I figured it would be kind of a neat idea to kind of go over some of the fish that we shoot, how they were introduced into the U.S.
Yeah.
Some of the characteristics of them, some of the areas that they inhabit at. Does that make any sense?
Some of the areas that they
inhabit?
Yeah, okay. I think that's right.
I think I said inhabitat.
Yeah, yep.
Yeah. And just kind of go over some of the characteristics of some of the fish that we target in bow fishing. And to start it out, Derek, we're going to go with the White Amur. Do you know what the White Amur is?
No.
The old grass carp.
Oh.
The old grassies.
Okay.
Yep, the old grassies.
Gotcha.
We're going to talk a little bit about the grass carp, how they were introduced, and some of the characteristics and stuff like that.
So kind of, Matt, how we have a product highlight at the end of each podcast. This is going to be kind of a couple of these segments are going to be fish highlights.
Yeah.
Kind of. Just to reflect and let everyone know a little bit more detail on the species of fish that we're targeting.
Right.
Okay, cool.
Yep. So first of all, kind of how the grass carp were introduced into the U.S. The U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, in cooperation with the Auburn University, first introduced grass carp into the U.S. in 1963 to investigate their usefulness in controlling aquatic vegetation. No native North American species of fish is as strictly herbivorous as the grass carp, which means to eat grass. Hence the name grass carp. Yep. Therefore, there are no native species available for aquatic vegetation management.
Okay.
Yep. That's kind of interesting.
Yeah, that actually is interesting.
Grass carp have proven to be effective in controlling many species of algae and submerged aquatic vegetation.
1963.
Along with that, I'm going to go over some negatives about that later on.
Okay.
So grass carp have proven to be effective in controlling many species of algae and submerged aquatic vegetation, with negative drawback, which we'll get into a little bit later on.
Okay. All right. So since their introduction, grass carp have been stocked into most states, either legally or illegally. Diploid grass carp have escaped into U.S. river systems and appear to have established reproducing populations in the Mississippi, Missouri, and Trinity River drainages. Fear that grass carp might devastate beneficial native aquatic vegetation in public waters prompted many states to ban their further stocking.
Okay.
Which that's good.
Yep. Now, you said a word in there, Derek.
Yeah. What is a diploid?
Diploid.
Grass carp. And why did they...
Okay.
Let's hear about that.
So, a diploid grass carp can reproduce. Okay. Now, they also have triploid grass carp.
Okay, diploid and...
which are sterile.
Oh, really?
Okay. Yep. It has something to do with an extra set of chromosomes. Now, I'm not a biology major or biology student much at all, but they have an extra set of chromosomes, which makes it sterile. Okay?
Wow.
Now, I found this very interesting because I saw that there were... What I found was that there were states when we go down south, a lot of the ponds down there have grass carp in them.
Okay.
They buy them and they put them into their ponds to control the grass.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, when you do that, of course, you're buying those grass carp for your pond. Okay. What I found very interesting is there were states where you could only buy triploid grass carp.
Oh.
There were also states that didn't care what you bought.
Oh, okay. Well, then that cancels out the states that were only allowing triploids to be.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I understand that the triploid part of it, they can't reproduce.
Right.
That would be smart because they're invasive. But then if your neighboring state says, well, I don't care, whatever, well, then that kind of cancels out you having the rule to only have sterile grass carp.
I found that very odd.
Yeah, that's weird. That's strange.
Some states didn't give a rat's butt. Some states did.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep. But I found that pretty interesting right there.
Yeah.
So diploid grass carp can reproduce in rivers and reduce aquatic plants important to many fish and wildlife species. Now, what I also heard this quite a few years back, where somebody told me that they put triploid grass carp in a pond.
Okay.
and they reproduced.
Oh, gosh. Well, that's not good.
But now I don't know if that's really true. Because from what I understand from grass carp is their eggs will only hatch if they're in a river current.
Okay. I see. I'm gonna touch on that a little bit in this next paragraph.
Go into that, yes.
So, like you said, grass carp spawn naturally only in rivers with high water flows and appropriate temperature. The water or current velocity must be sufficient to keep the semi-buoyant eggs suspended as they are carried downstream. If the eggs fall to the bottom, they will succumb to siltation and low dissolved oxygen. It is estimated that the eggs must remain suspended for 20 to 40 hours.
Unbelievable.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Huh. Mm-hmm. Which means that they may travel 30 to 110 miles depending on the water velocity before hatching. Therefore, grass carp cannot spawn in ponds. So that little bit of information is what made you wonder if the triploid reproducing was true or not.
Right. But now you wonder, okay, where I heard this was taking place was in Kentucky Lake.
Okay.
Okay. But now there's a lot of flow in Kentucky Lake.
Yeah.
If they have a big rainfall and stuff gets flooded, they open those gates, there's a pretty good flow going through there. Now, say you're way on the south end of Kentucky Lake, you got a bunch of grassies, they spawn. Do those eggs possibly just get into those currents?
Mm-hmm.
And do they travel that far?
So then I would assume that, so say Kentucky Lake is totally stable right now. There's no flow in it right now. Just in this specific situation. Grass carp spawn or lay eggs. Those eggs will not ever hatch because there's no current. They would just simply go. So you would have to have the combination of the time of year that grassies are spawning plus some current coming through Kentucky Lake in this given situation. And then that would be how they could reproduce in a pond-like setting, even though Kentucky Lake, like you said, has current and flow.
Right.
And I would assume that over the years that those two things could totally overlap.
Right.
Kentucky Lake's got current. It matches up with when grassies are spawning. Pretty soon, it's like a river system somewhat, and those eggs are hatching.
Now, I can see that being a lot different than your pond in the backyard.
Right. Absolutely. Right.
But now, you could also get floods to where those fish in your pond get out.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Look at how big heads and silvers.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So very interesting.
Interesting. That's cool. That's cool.
Young grass carp, less than 3 pounds, prefer soft vegetation and consume species such as duckweeds, filamentous algae, and chara. Ooh, doesn't that sound delicious?
Yummy.
Want to have a little chara?
I was actually
chara tonight for supper, buddy?
Duckweed sounded good to me.
Duckweeds. The most preferred plants are succulent and low fiber. As carp grow, more plant species and less succulent ones are added to the diet. This is pretty cool right here. Grass carp have pharyngeal teeth, and that means in the throat.
What? Oh my gosh.
Yes. These pharyngeal teeth are in 2 rows and enable the grass carp to cut and shred the vegetation as it consumes.
Wow, such an advanced species here.
It is.
That's actually pretty cool.
Pharyngeal teeth, which is in the throat.
Yeah. So then, in essence, the worst grass carp, as far as what it could do to the body of water that it is in, is the biggest one possible.
Yeah.
The bigger they get, the more plants that they can consume, I'm guessing, and digest. So then, maybe, I don't know what the ratio would be, but one 60-pounder could be doing the same amount of damage as 6 10-pounders.
Right.
Type of deal.
Right.
Okay. Huh. Cool. Cool. Grass carp have been found in Lake Ontario, Lake Erie, and Lake Michigan, although it's uncertain how many there are or how widely they have spread. U.S. and Canadian researchers said at least some of them are reproducing. Yeah.
Which follows back to what we were talking about before.
Sure.
Derek.
Yep.
Is there enough current and flow in the Great Lakes for them to naturally reproduce.
Sure. So that 20 to 40 hours that we read earlier,
Yep.
I've heard on fishing shows that these big bodies of water have their own currents almost. They can create based off of the substructure beneath the surface and what's on the bottom, the depth, that there are actually, it could be a 0 wind day, no outside factors that could allow there to be moving water, and below the surface that there are actually currents in these big bodies of water, self-made almost currents.
Right.
That would make me believe, based off of the information that we've read, that some of them are reproducing, or at least a small amount of the eggs that were laid are finding their way into a current stream and being able to hatch.
Right. Right.
Wow. That's
Pretty neat
interesting.
little species here.
Yeah, that is cool.
Now, an ecosystem that has grass carp will change in several ways if the aquatic vegetation is eliminated. Phytoplankton, which is small floating aquatic plants, will increase and cause a decrease in water clarity. Fish species that are reliant on vegetation will decline and may be eliminated from the ecosystem. And species that feed on phytoplankton will increase in number. Now, a lot of the negative on the grass carp is over time, they can completely wipe out the weeds in certain bodies of water.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of the native species rely on those weeds.
Yeah, right.
For cover, for spawning.
Yeah.
Your smaller fry rely on that to escape predators.
Yep, protect themselves.
One thing that I found that was really interesting, Derek, was I was watching one of the old Campbell's Challenge videos from 15, 14 years ago.
Okay. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
They were bowfishing on Kentucky Lake. All right. And it was Team River's Edge.
Okay.
And they were always known for getting grass carp.
Okay.
In these challenges. They were always a team to watch for that. And I remember watching that footage, Derek, and it was on Kentucky Lake.
I bet I know what you're going to say.
And they were back in some of them bays, and that water was just crystal clear, just gorgeous.
Really?
And that hydrilla and those weeds coming up were just, they were like in like 5-6 feet of water, and those weeds were just like timber down below, coming up in weeds. And they were shooting those big, fat, giant grassies. It's not like that anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not like that anymore. You go back into those bays right now, there's no weeds anywhere.
Yeah. Right.
There's nothing.
Yeah. Yeah. Those, like, just from thinking back when we were down in Kentucky earlier this year, like, these fish are relating to bushes growing in the water, a bush or a submerged tree branch or, stuff like that. It's not necessarily weedy type plant growth that they're relating to anymore.
Right. And speaking of that, Derek, I think it was in 2016 or 17, Timothy and I were down in Kentucky. First, we were in Indiana for the Jared Ashmore we were in Indiana for the Archery Camps USA with the kids.
Yep.
And then we went up to Kentucky for the Jared Ashmore, but we had a couple of days in between there. So we went out on Kentucky Lake, and we went back into some bays on a Sunday, and we were shooting grassies, and they were pretty abundant.
Okay.
They're all over the place. We went back the next day to do some more filming, and we hooked up with Dennis Red and came out with this. And like I said, there's no grass back there anymore. How we found these grassies is you would see a dust cloud in like 2 feet of water, 3 feet of water. You see a dust cloud.
Yeah.
And what they were doing is they were feeding on the bottom. Snails, crustaceans, stuff like that.
Sure.
Kind of like a carp when you see a cloud. A carp is feeding up and down. Mm-hmm. And we like sneak up in there and get closer and closer. And pretty soon you could see just a little bit of his tail on the top of that dust cloud, and that's how we were shooting them. So that's what they're feeding on now. And I know, these grass carp are nowhere near as heavy and as big as they were years back on Kentucky Lake when they had all this grass.
Sure.
So
would you go as far to say, Matt, that these fish that you are shooting now are roughly the same age as Could you say that a fish that is the same age now could have been, I don't know, 15 pounds heavier 10 years ago?
Possibly,
because
yes.
they had more food to eat? Okay.
Mm-hmm. A grass carp was just like a cow.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know if a lot of you that have shot grass carp, you know that when you shoot a grass carp in the belly and you get him in the boat, he's flopping around in the arrow and in the barrel. It's like manure coming out of his stomach system. Yeah. It's like manure, They have a stomach's just like a cow.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of the grass carp that we're seeing down there are a smaller year class. They seem to be skinny and long, kind of like a river grass carp.
Sure.
Now I know the further down south you get, down in that area there's more vegetation and more weeds. It's not quite as wide and as big as it is up on the more the lake part. And there's a little more grassies and stuff like that, and they're a little bit bigger. But yeah, generally the grassies that are out there on the lake are just a little bit smaller now because they just don't have that food anymore in their systems.
Yeah, that makes sense. That all lines up pretty good. Mm-hmm. What I would think too, okay, Kentucky Lake is so big, and I apologize for using Kentucky Lake for so many of these examples. You could take any big body of water down south. What is the number one sought after game fish down there?
Bass.
People love bass fishing. Mm-hmm. You roll up, and just when I'm thinking of the YouTube videos that I watch, there's guys, and what they'll do is they're plugging beds, trying to catch up 8-pound bass, 8-pound largemouth. I would think that, like we read about how that can affect native game fish, I would think that over time, and I don't think this, I know this, that over time the lack of weeds to a point now that the grassies don't even have a ton to eat anymore. Mm-hmm. Well, think of what that's done over the last 10 years to the bass fishing down there.
Absolutely.
I mean, good Lord, you'd be crazy not to think that doesn't have some kind of effect on the reproduction of bass. Yep. Mm-hmm. All that habitat gone. Mm-hmm. I mean, they're cute little fish, but they are destroyers.
Right.
They're bad news.
And a lot of you remember Lake Gunnersville.
Yeah.
Alabama was like the premier spot for your giant grassies and stuff like that. And you don't really hear much about Lake Gunnersville anymore. I know I was down there shooting a couple times years back, and I didn't see a lot of grass around there neither. Yeah. And I know they also had some big issues with that as well. Yeah. And all the grass not there anymore.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So these grass carp, just for reference for everybody, the BAA Wisconsin record grass carp is 40 pounds, 42 inches, shot in 2017.
Mm-hmm. All right. And we just started having up here in Wisconsin. I think we just started getting records on grass carp like 4 years ago, when we started shooting some here and there. Yeah. And like the first one, that was a state record was in the 20s,
Sure. Right.
We just don't have a lot of them up here.
Yeah.
There's just not a lot of grassies up here in the river system.
Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And the BAA world record grassy is 92 pounds, 51.5 inches long. Shot in 2015 by Brian Hughes in Alabama.
I remember when that was shot. Man, that thing looked like a wood tick.
Okay. Just looking at these numbers, Matt, I cannot believe that there is a 52-pound difference between a fish that is only 9 inches longer. That is mind-boggling to me.
Okay, you know what would be even more mind-boggling to you is if they had a girth measurement between the two.
Yeah, I bet.
Because that 92-pounder was probably just as girthy as it was long.
Yeah.
It was so tight like a big old fat wood tick that was plump ready to pop. It was like if you would have stuck your finger hard into the side, it would have exploded. That thing was just crazy looking.
That difference there, Matt, is almost 5 pounds an inch for how much bigger that grassy is. Think of that. An inch of a fish, 5 pounds. That's wild.
That is crazy.
Comparing it from 42 to 51.
Right.
And being 52 pounds heavier. Yeah. Wow, that is crazy.
Like the head on it was this big.
I bet you it looked tiny. Did it look small compared to the rest of it?
The head?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It was really interesting.
Do you know what body of water that 92-pounder was shot on? Mm-hmm. Okay. Are we not going to share that?
I'd prefer not.
Okay, that's fine. I was just curious if you knew. Do you know the Wisconsin one?
Yeah, that's Mississippi River.
Okay. Yeah. Gotcha.
Yeah, that's the only place that we have.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Although one was shot in an inland lake in Wisconsin by a bowfisher.
Really?
Yeah. And it was given to the DNR, and they studied it and looked it over, and it came to the conclusion that it was a triploid.
Okay. Yeah.
And they figured somebody just released it in there.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Wow. Someone just released it, and it ends up being a big old record. That's crazy. That's crazy.
There's some interesting little facts, I guess, on the grass carp, White Amur. They got cool teeth in their throat.
I'm gonna have to. I wonder if next time we shoot one, I'm gonna stick my hand down their throat and see if I can feel some.
We should try to cut one out, maybe.
Yeah, that is cool. I never really looked at that or thought about that.
And on a side note, on the grass carp, they are very good to eat as well.
Yeah.
Very good to eat.
You've had grassy, Matt? Mm-hmm. Okay. They had grass carp at the Bass Pro US Open this year.
Yeah, they did.
That little booth. They had buffalo bites and grass carp and gar. And they were fantastic. Little fried up little fish bites. Yep. Yeah, they were very good. Mm-hmm. Very good.
Very good. So if you ever shoot one, man, flay it up and try it. Probably going to be best eaters when they're in that probably 20-pound range versus a 92-pounder.
Right. I think that's pretty much universal, Matt. Yeah, you know how the best eater walleye is, a legal 15-inch fish up to 18 typically is what I'm looking for. And the bigger they get, the more you'd want to put that fish back. Not in this case, but yeah. So on to our product highlight, Matt. And you know what I just remembered?
What do you remember?
I was so engrossed in learning about grass carp and everything that I dropped the ball.
Oh, geez.
You know what I'm going to say, don't you?
Quote of the day.
There's no quote today. I didn't think of a quote.
Well, you're going to actually talk about one of your grass carp moments.
Oh, yes. I actually would love to do that.
Okay, go ahead, Schmitty.
Because I remember, and it was probably, I started working here in 2015, okay? 7 years.
Were you 15 years old?
Almost. I was 17 years old.
Okay.
16 going on 17 years old. And I worked for a while, I probably worked here for 2 years before I started to go on the trips and whatnot with you, starting to do some filming and stuff. And I remember we were down in Tennessee, was where I first saw my first grass carp in person. We were in Tennessee. I was filming you and Al Brusky.
Yep.
I will keep the name of that body of water a secret, but that's where we were. We were in the state of Tennessee, okay?
Yep.
And I remember being up on the platform. I was the cameraman on that trip, filming and everything. And this was my first filming trip that I had ever been on.
I know what you're going to say.
And we were shooting some carp and everything. And it was so cool. It was really neat. And I remember seeing a big, and when you're up on the platform, for those of you that don't know, we have a filming platform on our bowfishing boat that allows the cameraman to be up above, to get that over the shoulder shot. You can actually see a lot more even than the shooter does, just because you have such a better angle looking down into the water. And I remember we rolled up in this little area. I'm up top and I look up and there is, that's not a 10-pound carp. That is a big fish. And it came out to the middle of the boat, and I remember, I don't know, we'd have to look at the footage, but I was so worried about getting that on film. I'm guessing the camera was probably it was tremoring a little bit because I was trying so hard to hold it still to get it. And it was that Z5 camera, so you got to roll that zoom and make sure everything's in focus and everything, that old camera. But I remember that being so cool. And we got the shot, and you guys turned around and did your whole deal. And I remember thinking to myself, oh my gosh, I've seen these videos, these DVDs, how long? And now I'm actually the person that's filming it. It was actually really cool.
Yeah.
So I remember that. And then later on in the night, the fishing slowed down. And you yelled up, you said, well, Schmitty, you want to come down and shoot for a bit? See if you can't shoot something? Oh, yep. That sounds good to me. I probably didn't have a bow in my hands for 10 minutes, maybe. And we're rolling along, and you were next to me, and I didn't see the fish right away, and you pointed out, and I don't know what right there. And I looked down, and it probably has grown a little bit over the years, as every big fish does. And I remember looking down and for a couple seconds, not drawing my bow back and just looking at this fish in awe right in front of me. And finally I'm like, okay, what am I it's look at this fish. And I draw back and I airmailed it. Didn't hit the fish at all. And So I'm like, okay, I filmed these guys missing and whatnot. So I didn't think it was that big of a deal. So we're going along, whatever. And I remember you asked me, you said, Derek, do you know how big that fish was? I said, no. I said, I don't have a clue. I have no idea. At that point, I couldn't gauge a fish size-wise. I knew it was a bigger fish.
Yeah.
And I remember you saying, oh, okay. Yeah, that 60-pound grassy. That was probably a 60-pound grassy. And I remember sitting there being like, oh, my gosh. That was my first experience with a grass carp, is missing a toad. And now to this day, I don't know if you were lying or if you made that number up. It was a big it was a big fish.
That was a big fish.
Because, it froze me for a couple seconds. I couldn't do anything. I just looked at it for a couple seconds. Then I drew back and shot in a hurry and missed it big time. But
that one had the girth that you're looking for.
Yes, that is what I remember. Mm-hmm. We were going along the bank, parallel with the bank, and the fish was laying parallel with us, between us and the bank. Mm-hmm. I remember that. And it was facing away from us. So I got to see its full broadness of its shoulders.
Yeah.
Was what I remember on that fish.
And then when it turned and swam out in front of us, that's when you could see even more how deep the belly was on. And that's where they get all their weight.
Yeah.
In that. I would call that grass carp fever.
Yeah, grass carp fever. That could not be a more accurate description of exactly what that situation was.
Grass carp fever.
It froze me up good, but whenever I think of grass carp, I can't help but think of the Tennessee monster.
Yep. Probably one of my cooler deals with the grass carp was I was with my wife down in Kentucky Lake, and she had never shot a grassy before, so we were back in the bays. Middle of the day, we're back in there, and no cameraman, so we just had the GoPro kind of running behind us there.
Okay.
And I remember you could see that grass carp up in the shallows there, and we got close as we could. We got close as we could there, and we both shot, and I hit it, and it went tearing out. I always call them the torpedoes of the shallows.
Oh, yeah, very appropriate.
Went flying out of the shallows there and out towards the flats and a little bit deeper water. I remember we chased that grassy down. We chased him down. And my wife, once we got it up, she made an awesome backup shot into that.
Oh, cool.
We got it in the boat and took some awesome pictures. It was like a 40-pounder.
Nice.
But it was just a neat deal to have my wife, experience. Like I said, she's never shot she shot some grassies on that day, but that was just a neat one because we chased it down. We got it all on video from the GoPro. It was just a neat little fun deal. Yeah. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah. When you first started telling that story, Matt, I was imagining there's footage in my mind of you and Julie on the boat, but I think Dennis Redden is filming.
Yes.
And you guys are creeping up. I think there's maybe two of them up there.
Yeah.
And you guys both draw back, and you guys both miss the first one.
Yes.
And Dennis, I remember him whispering, he says, "Oh, he's still up there.
He's up there by the front of that bush.
Yeah.
By the front of that bush.
And you sent that arrow had to have like, that was a long shot, and you ended up getting them.
Yeah.
That was the footage I thought you were going to say, but yeah, that's cool. You and Julie sneaking up on one. That's pretty neat.
That was a neat deal.
So yeah, I think we did a pretty good job here, Matt, just covering some of the basics of grass carp, the history of it.
And like I said, and next time we'll do a different species down the road sometime, and between different other podcasts and stuff like that. They're just a little fish history and some of the fishies that we chase.
And we'll share some, just little stories about some of the interesting little stories that we've had with these fish. When we were deciding about our product highlight before the podcast here, I asked Matt, I said, Matt, is there anything that you could tie in as far as a product goes with a grass carp? And your exact words were that when you and Julie were shooting them here a couple of years back, that Julie had on the AMS Chaos XL.
Yep.
Not just the typical Chaos, the XL with the longer barbs. And you said that was working fantastic for Julie. So we, of course, have our Chaos point. And we also have the Chaos XL, pivoting extra long barbs for better hold, stainless steel construction. That is all paired with the rock-tested Cyclone tip. 1.5 by 1.183 inch holding area. That is like the Chaos. That's one that you would poke that tip through the fish, loosen your tip, and pull it back out. And those XL barbs are so long that they provide so much holding power on a softer fleshed fish, like a grassy. I think that actually really comes into play. Having a little bit longer
small entry hole going through those fish. Big barbs holding that on the backside.
So if you guys are looking to go target some grassies, make sure to check out the Chaos XL from AMS Bowfishing.
That's right. Oh, you know what that means, Schmitty?
That was a fast 49 minutes, Matt.
It was very fast. This weekend we have our last BAA Wisconsin Bowfishing Association tournament on the Mississippi River. So we're in second place. We can't win. We're too far out of points for taking first place, but we're still going to go down and give it our best.
Oh, yeah.
And then after that, on Monday, I am heading east, Schmitty, to hook up with my good buddy Corey Brossman.
Heck yeah.
We're going to go shoot some stingray. AMS gear and put it to work.
Yeah.
Hopefully we come back with a big old butterfly ray.
You got to cook us some up with that.
We're going to cook some up. Yeah.
Okay, good deal.
We're going to cook some up.
Deal. Good deal.
So get on the water and enjoy the sport of bowfishing, everybody. Get out there and have fun with your family and friends, your girly friends, wivies, and enjoy the sport of bowfishing. Join a bowfishing club. Join the BAA. From all of us here at AMS Bowfishing, we wish you the best of luck. And remember, aim low,
think big. Thanks for listening, everybody.